My name is James Clar. I'm a media artist from New York. Previously, I lived in Tokyo and also Dubai. I studied at New York University for film and concentration in 3D animation. And then for my graduate school, I went to ITP and moved into kind of media art and sculptural lighting. This piece is called the 3D Display Cube. And what it is a spatial array of LEDs that allowed me to create true 3D animations. So using that, I kind of moved more into sculptural lighting. Here I have a tensegrity structure that's based off Kenneth Snelson and Buckminster Fuller. And what it is, I figured out how to integrate the wiring into the sculpture to create this kind of three-dimensional light form. So a lot of the work that I'm doing is an experimentation of moving away from screen-based work into structural form and sometimes architectural installation. As this piece here, it's called Inside Out, and this was done during an art residency in Memphis. And what I did is I had sensors set up in each of these buildings. Each one was a gallery, and it calibrated how much activity levels are inside the building and then displayed it on the top as a light meter. Later on, I moved to Dubai. And when I was in Dubai, I was noticing a lot of the architecture that was there. And at nighttime, they had the scaffolding around the structure, which kind of caused this kind of glowing sculpture. But I thought it was a sculpture. So what it is, I kind of created a miniature version of it. And also kind of making fun of Dubai architecture. Another thing that I noticed in Dubai is everyone's driving cars. So what I did here, this is called ball and chain. It's 24 car headlights reconfigured into a giant ball, and the lighting is then, electrical wiring is then integrated into the chain and kind of chained down. So it's about energy use. Energy use is our kind of our ball and chain. This piece is called The Difference Between Me and You. It's two TVs, one's playing Fox News, the other one Al Jazeera. And the light from the TVs then are brought to the middle where there's a diffused acrylic, and it diffuses the light, kind of creating this abstract light piece based off of cultural information. So when I was in Dubai, then I started getting more into the idea of media and how media affects nationality and personal like culture, perception of culture. This piece is called Global English, and it's a series of different languages written phonetically in that language. So when somebody reads the sign, they say out loud, Global English. So in a way, I'm forcing them to say global English, and it's how other cultures are forced to speak English nowadays. This piece is called A Moment Defined by Point in a Line. It's taking 3 historical assassinations, and each light going through the acrylic block is the point of entry of a bullet and the angle of trajectory. And it's King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, Malcolm X, and Amadou Diallo. This is called NASDAQ Recursive Loop. It's NASDAQ data, and it's tracing NASDAQ data from 2007. And then down at the lower right-hand corner, you see the crash happen. And then you have the double dip crash happen in 2008. And then it comes back around to where the NASDAQ data is at the same level as before the crash, kind of creating this kind of recursive broken loop. This piece is called Turbulence. And this is a time-lapse photo, but what it's showing is a single light bulb hanging from a long, 9-meter long cable. And in the middle is an industrial fan. And the industrial fan turns on and off, pushing and pulling the light bulb into this kind of chaotic pattern. And this is kind of about like, after the crash, things were kind of turbulent. This is called Freefall. It's a series that's based off of animation and cartoons where they show motion lines. So motion lines show direction and speed. But here I'm using light to create the motion lines. And then within the light, I'm controlling the color and the contrast to create images of people being thrown in different directions. This is a commission that was done for Rolex Tower in Dubai. And what I did is I recorded myself saying Rolex Tower into a computer. I took the sound wave and then revolved it to create this frozen sound wave that is a representation of the sound wave that says Rolex Tower. So the idea is to kind of take time and freeze it. This is a video piece. So now, after Dubai, then I moved back to New York. This piece is called Tom. It's a video piece where I took a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and then I went frame by frame and erased Jerry from the cartoon. So basically, it becomes a documentation of Tom as this crazy schizophrenic cat running around the house, getting hurt, and kind of going out of his mind. This piece is called 1 Minute Dream State. For it, I used the EEG unit, and I recorded my brainwaves while sleeping. And then I zoomed in at the time where I hit REM stage. So REM stage is kind of the subconscious creative stage. And then I used that data and then mapped it onto these lights. So this becomes then a portrait of myself in the creative stage. This is called increasing resolution. So at the top you see green, and then one light below it, you see the combinations of those colors. And then below that, another combination of those colors, and so on until at the bottom you have a pure spectrum. So it's about kind of how computers are increasing in their resolution and becoming kind of more fine-tuned. So now that I'm in New York, now the works have become a little bit less socio-political and more media-related, and kind of about media and media information. This is a rain reduction, or video game rain. The idea is to kind of take a chaotic system like rain and then reduce it down to like set pattern and form. Kind of how computers can not really replicate reality, but they kind of replicate, they kind of streamline reality. This is called Orchid. It's a synthetic orchid, and it's wrapped around a coil of lights. And you can see on here, depending on the angle that you look at the lights, the orchid will reflect back a certain color. So if you look at it, one side it's blue, another side it's yellow, and the front it's red. So it becomes kind of this virtual plant life. This is called thermal energy. So it's this light array that's intersecting a fence, and you see it's depicting hot air rising and then cold air sinking. And the idea is to kind of visualize air as a solid substance that's kind of transglobal, goes through borders, go through fences. This is called 2 times 1 sun, and it's depicting 2 different time zones. So basically you have somebody in New York and then somebody in Tokyo, and they're looking at the sky and they're looking at the sun at the same time, but they're in one time zone and other ones in different time zones. So you're kind of collapsing time zones. Even though you're looking at the same thing at the same time, you're at different time zones. And this is a new work that I'm here in Tokyo was producing for Heineken Green Room Sessions. It's a laser light wall that uses UV ink and UV lasers. And then we got 4 different designers to kind of draw onto these light wall. And what it does is it kind of creates this kind of visual effect where the images keep fading out, but they had to kind of play with the temporality of it. Thank you.